I never thought it could happen to me. That everything I spent a lifetime building, my career, my reputation, my family, my love, could come crashing down in an instant. But this is where my truth begins. People love to say ambition guarantees success, that drive always leads to triumph. Listen to my story and let it serve as a warning. Sometimes ambition doesn't lead to glory, it leads straight to destruction. My name is Clara Whitmore. I'm 48 years old, and for the first time in my life, I don't recognize the woman staring back at me in the mirror. For decades, I believed I was untouchable, the sharp attorney who always won, the devoted mother who never faltered, the woman who had it all under control. But tonight, standing outside that quiet lake house, watching my husband's expression as unreadable as stone, I realized how fragile it all really was. How easily an empire of perfection can crumble when the foundation is nothing but sand. Stay with me till the end, because what comes next isn't just a story of failure, it's a story of choices, secrets, and the moment I understood that losing everything sometimes starts with losing yourself. And if you're new here, subscribe to Dark Infidelity Stories. Each week, we uncover the hidden cracks in lives that look perfect on the outside, and the confessions that will haunt you forever. The drive there was a blur, my hands trembling around the steering wheel of my Tesla, headlights slicing through the mist. My heart hammered as if I were running from something I could no longer escape. Just last night, I had humiliated Harold, my husband of 20 years, at his own birthday dinner. It wasn't supposed to go that way. I thought it was harmless teasing, the kind of playful jab couples toss around for laughs. But when I saw him silently set down his napkin, push back his chair, and walk out without a word, a chill went through me. And then, today, everything began to fall apart. My corporate card declined. Yale flagged my daughter's tuition as unpaid. My phone exploded with calls from the firm, panic in every voice, because one of our biggest investors, the man holding nearly a fifth of our capital, had suddenly withdrawn. I didn't need to play detective. That investor was Harold, the man I'd quietly underestimated for years. The man I'd mocked in front of colleagues as if he were harmless. I thought Harold was mild, maybe even passive, content to live in my shadow while I conquered the world. I believed I could chase power, flirt with lines I shouldn't cross, and face no consequences. I was wrong. And now, standing in the cold, my breath sharp in the night air, I shouted the words that had been burning my throat. "What the hell are you doing, Harold? The cards, Mia's tuition, the firm, are you having some kind of breakdown?" He didn't yell. He didn't even flinch. He just looked at me with that unnerving calm that suddenly felt like power. "No breakdown," he said quietly. "Just clarity." That one word hit harder than a slap. Clarity. My legs nearly gave out, but pride kept me standing. "You can't just pull millions from the firm without warning. Do you even realize what this does to my career? To my reputation?" He finally looked at me and his voice turned sharp. "Your position?" he repeated, his tone heavy with disgust. "That's all that matters to you, isn't it? Not the fact that you embarrassed me in front of 40 people. Not that you've been sneaking around with Charles Whitford. Just your precious position." The name dropped like a blade. Charles Whitford. He knew. The world seemed to tilt beneath me. My throat closed up, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. For once, I had nothing to say. In 20 years of marriage, I had always been the one with the perfect words, the quick defense, the emotional upper hand. But now, staring into Harold's steady gaze, I knew I'd lost the story. When Harold said Charles's name, every ounce of confidence drained from me. For months, maybe even years, I had convinced myself I was untouchable. That my secret life, my carefully crafted lies, would stay compartmentalized. That I could be both, the perfect wife and mother, and the ambitious woman who took what she wanted. But Harold knew. He didn't rage. He didn't throw accusations or smash things in anger. He just spoke with the same quiet certainty he once used to promise he'd protect me forever. And in that moment, I wasn't a fierce litigator anymore. I was a guilty child who'd finally been caught. I wanted to lie. To say Charles was nothing more than a business associate, that the late-night meetings and dinners were all about career strategy. But even as the excuses formed, I knew they were empty. Because it wasn't just business. It hadn't been for a long time. The first night Charles touched my hand across that table at the Four Seasons, I didn't pull away. His eyes told me he saw through the armor, straight to the restless hunger underneath. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself Harold wouldn't understand what it meant to be a woman clawing her way to respect in a world built for men. But the truth? I liked the way Charles made me feel. Desired. 25 again. The way he said my name made me believe I was still powerful. Not because of what I accomplished, but because of who I was. Yet standing there now, with Harold's gaze locked on mine, I felt none of that power. I felt small. Exposed. Weak. I tried to gather myself, to summon the same sharpness I used in courtrooms. "You don't know what you're talking about," I said, my voice trembling between defiance and fear. "You're being paranoid, Harold." But he didn't respond. He just stared. Silent. Come. And somehow that silence screamed louder than any accusation could. Because in our marriage I'd always held the pen, always written the version of the truth we lived. But now Harold had taken that pen from me. And as I stood in that driveway, cold wind brushing my face, I realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about years, decades, of me underestimating the man who'd been quietly studying me the whole time. And now that he finally saw me clearly, I had no idea what he was capable of doing next. That night I barely slept. His words echoed in my head, clarity. Charles Whitford, your position, looping over and over until my thoughts were shredded. By morning, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. I told myself Harold was bluffing, that he had suspicions, sure, but not proof. After all, I'd built a career dismantling weak cases. Surely I could outmaneuver my own husband. But then Mia called. Her voice was sharp, anxious, trembling in that impatient tone only a 19-year-old can manage. "Mom, what's going on? My card's not working. The bursar's office says tuition hasn't cleared. What's happening?" And right then, I knew. The life I'd built was cracking. And this time there was no clever argument left to save it. "Are you two fighting or something?" Her words hit me harder than I expected. For years, I had crafted an image of myself as the unwavering parent, the one Mia could count on. Harold? He had always been the quiet background figure, grilling burgers at soccer games, paying for piano lessons, making sure her car was ready for Yale. I was the visible authority, the achiever, the one she flaunted to her friends. But now, in her voice, I heard disappointment. Not toward Harold, but toward me. I wanted to scream, to shake her. "Do you think this life just appears out of nowhere? Do you think your tuition, your apartment, your designer clothes exist because of your father alone?" I fought for this. I sacrificed. I played the game. I endured Charles's hands on my waist, his whispers in my ear, all so you could have this life. The words never came out. Because deep down I knew the truth. Every luxury Mia enjoyed, every privilege I took credit for, had been quietly provided by Harold. His trust funds, his careful management, his sacrifices that never made headlines. And I had let her believe it was me. I had let her smirk at her father, roll her eyes at him, treat him like furniture in the house. I had fed that illusion because it kept me on a pedestal. And now, that pedestal was cracking. "Mia, sweetheart," I said, forcing calm into my voice, "your father is going through something. But I'll handle it, okay? I'll talk to him. You just focus on your studies." She groaned. "Mom, I don't care about his midlife crisis. Just make sure my tuition gets paid. I can't be embarrassed like this." Her words stung, not just because they were sharp, but because they sounded exactly like something I would have said at her age, or even last week. Like mother, like daughter. And suddenly, I wasn't proud of that anymore. After hanging up, I sat at the kitchen counter, hands trembling around my coffee cup, staring at nothing. I thought back to the first time I let Charles kiss me. I told myself it was one slip. Then came the second time, and suddenly it wasn't a slip anymore. Every choice I made to chase validation, every step that pushed Harold further into the background, felt like a knife turning in me. And for the first time I asked myself honestly, was it worth it? Harold hadn't yelled. He hadn't stormed out. He hadn't demanded explanations. He had quietly pulled threads, unraveling the life I had so meticulously crafted. If I didn't stop him soon, there might be nothing left for me. After Mia's call, I drove straight to my office, but focus eluded me. Case files blurred, words melted on the page. All I could see was Harold's calm face at the lake house. All I could hear was the venom in the way he said Charles's name. For years, I had convinced myself Charles was my ally, maybe even my salvation. He was the founding partner's son, a man who could pry open doors that had been slammed in my face. When I was passed over for partner 6 years ago, I swore it would never happen again. And Charles? He noticed me, not just as an attorney but as a woman. He whispered that I was brilliant, that the firm needed me, that Harold didn't understand me like he did. And I believed him. God help me, I believed him. It started with lunches, then drinks, then hotel rooms. I told myself it was strategy. If sleeping with Charles gained me the recognition I deserved, it was a sacrifice, a calculated trade-off for my career. But somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending it was only about business. I loved the way he made me feel, alive, wanted, powerful, in ways Harold never had. To him, I was a tool, a stepping stone, a weapon, whispers and promises but never permanence. And I chose that over my husband. Now, watching Harold pull his investments, whispering to Henry Whitford, I see the cracks forming everywhere. If Henry learns about me and Charles, my entire career could go up in flames. Every late-night effort, every client dinner, every sacrifice as a mother, gone. And yet, what terrifies me more than losing my career is losing Harold. I never thought I'd say that. I had dismissed him, diminished him, treated him like a background prop in my carefully curated life. He never bragged, never demanded recognition, never flaunted his contributions. I mistook quiet strength for weakness. But it wasn't weakness, it was restraint. And I pushed him past it. That night, after the office emptied, I locked my door, poured a scotch, and stared at my reflection in the glass. City lights flickered behind me, but all I could see was a woman I barely recognized. A woman who had everything, a husband who adored her, a daughter who admired her, a career she once believed in, and yet, in reaching for more, she might have destroyed it all. I don't know Harold's endgame. Revenge? Divorce? Or just to watch me unravel? All I know is, for the first time in 20 years, he holds the power. And I am terrified of what he might do with it. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Not Harold, not Mia, but the board partners. Clara, did you know about this withdrawal? Do you understand the magnitude of what's happened? Why would your husband sabotage the firm like this? Sabotage. That's the word they used. But it wasn't sabotage. Not really. Harold was simply reclaiming what was his, and in the process dismantling the illusion I had built my life upon. By noon, the whispers were everywhere. Eyes dropped when I walked by. The receptionist wouldn't even look at me. The judgment pressed down on me like a tangible weight. And then the final blow. Henry Whitford called me into his office. Calm. Too calm. Clara, he said, folding his hands, we need to talk. There are concerns about your judgment, your association with my son. My throat went dry. Concerns? I asked, struggling to keep the tremor out of my voice. Don't insult me by pretending, Clara, he replied. People talk. The photographs, the dinners, the nights out, all of it completely unbecoming of a partner at this firm. And now, with Harold quietly pulling his capital, I had to ask myself, where does your loyalty truly lie? With the firm or with your own ambitions? I wanted to fight back, to defend myself like I always had. But Henry's eyes were sharp, merciless, and for the first time in years, I found myself unarmed. Just silence. After that meeting, I called Charles relentlessly. Over and over. He didn't answer. When he finally picked up, his voice was clipped, detached. Clara, this isn't a good time. Not a good time. I hissed, pacing the office floor. Do you even understand what's happening? Harold knows about us. He's pulling his investments. Henry is questioning my position. We need to fix this. Together. But Charles just sighed, that infuriatingly condescending tone slipping into every word. Clara, don't be naive. This was never about us. It was convenience. And right now, you're not convenient anymore. You're a liability. A liability. The word cut deeper than any blade, hollowing me from the inside. He hung up before I could respond, leaving me staring at my own reflection in the blackened phone screen. Hollow eyes. Trembling lips. A woman who had risked everything, and now held nothing. That night, driving back to the lake house, I saw Harold's car parked in the driveway, the warm glow of the interior lights spilling onto the asphalt. For a fleeting second, I imagined walking in, dropping to my knees, begging him to forgive me. But pride froze me. Pride, and fear of what I would see in his eyes if I tried. So I stayed in my Tesla, hands gripping the wheel, whispering lies to myself. This is temporary. I can fix this. Harold still loves me. Mia still needs me. The firm will forgive me. Charles will come back. I haven't lost everything yet. But deep down I knew. I already had. 2 days later, the final thread snapped. Harold called. Not with anger. Not with rage. Not even bitterness. Just that maddening, unflinching calm he had shown at the lake house. Clara, we need to meet, he said. Tomorrow morning. My office. Those words echoed through my mind. For so long, I had believed Harold existed only in my orbit, quietly tagging along at charity galas, firm dinners, and every event I shined at. I never paused to wonder what his world looked like outside mine. To me, he was the man behind the checkbook. Reliable. Boring. Safe. But stepping into his downtown office changed everything. My breath caught. The receptionist greeted him like he was family. His name etched in bronze on the corner suite. Inside, the office gleamed, sleek, modern, a testament to his quiet power. Framed photos of startup founders, charitable foundations, board meetings with senators lined the walls. He wasn't in my shadow. He had an empire I had been too blind to see. He didn't waste time. A folder landed in front of me. Documents I barely comprehended, trust restructurings, withdrawals, deeds, contingencies. Mia's tuition secured, but under his name. Her trust fund frozen until she completed 2 years of public service. The lake house. Entirely his now. The firm's lifeline investment? Gone, untouchable. I'm done being your stepping stone, Clara, he said, voice steady, calm. I'm not here to yell or fight. I'm here to take back my life. I tried to meet his gaze, but I felt like I was drowning. Harold, please. You can't do this to Mia. She'll hate you. He leaned back, colder than I had ever seen him. She already hates me. You made sure of that. Those words cut through me. He was right. I had turned our daughter against him little by little, 1,000 subtle ways. I taught her to roll her eyes at him, to laugh at his simplicity, to see him as beneath her. And she believed me. That evening, desperate, I called Mia, clinging to a shred of loyalty. Sweetheart, I know things are tense with your father, but... Mom, stop. Her voice was flat, impatient. Dad explained everything. The trust, tuition, all of it. You lied to me. My stomach twisted. I didn't lie, Mia. You made me think you were the one holding everything together. You made me look down on him, and all the while it was him, wasn't it? She exhaled sharply, dismissive, finished with me. I don't even know who you are anymore. The call ended. 20 years. 20 years of building a life where I was the star, the respected lawyer, the admired wife, the strong mother. And in the span of days, that stage collapsed beneath me. Charles discarded me. The firm questioned me. My daughter turned against me. And my husband, my quiet, steady husband, had become the executioner of the life I once took for granted. I had always equated power with volume, speaking the loudest, being seen, being admired. But watching Harold dismantle everything with mere paperwork and silence, I realized I had never understood power at all. And for the first time in my life, I felt utterly trapped. 3 days later, the envelope arrived. Thick, cream-colored, my name on the front in bold letters. For a split second, I thought maybe, Harold? Maybe he was extending an olive branch, trying to repair what remained of us. I tore it open. My stomach dropped. Not a note. Not a message. A petition for divorce. I sat at the kitchen table, world spinning. My hands shook so violently I spilled coffee across the pages. But the words were etched in my mind. Irrevocable breakdown of marriage. his attorney's name, the list of assets already out of reach, the lake house, trust, investments, joint accounts frozen. This time Harold wasn't bluffing. He was ending it completely. I dialed his number, fingers trembling. No answer. I tried Mia next, praying for support. She picked up on the second ring, her voice ice. Mom, stop calling me. I don't want to be in the middle of this. Mia, please, listen to me, I begged. This isn't what it looks like. Yes, I made mistakes, terrible ones, but every choice I made, I told myself it was for us, for our future, for you. Her silence on the other end was heavier than any accusation could ever be. Finally, she spoke, voice steady, cold. You didn't do it for me. You did it for yourself. And now we're all paying the price. The line went dead. I dropped the phone onto the counter and buried my face in my hands, the sobs breaking loose before I could stop them. I hadn't cried in years, hadn't allowed myself to. I thought ambition would protect me. That power would make me strong, untouchable. But all it really made me was alone. And in that unbearable silence, all I could think about was Harold. Harold, who never missed one of Mia's recitals. Harold, who quietly handled the unglamorous parts of our life so I could shine. Harold, who never once reminded me that every luxury, every dinner, every gala gown came from him. And what did I give him in return? Mockery, disrespect, betrayal. I tore apart the one man who loved me without conditions. I cheated. I lied. I humiliated him. And still, a part of me wanted to run back, to fall to my knees and beg him to look at me the way he once did. To see the woman he married, not the one I'd become. But I knew Harold. And the thing that terrified me most about him wasn't his temper. It was his silence. That calm, methodical silence that dismantled everything I thought I controlled. He didn't need to yell, didn't need to curse. He simply erased me, one deliberate stroke at a time, until all that was left were ashes. That night, I poured myself another scotch and sat alone in the living room, the divorce papers spread out on the table before me. My eyes burned, my throat tight. One question echoed again and again. How do you apologize for destroying the only person who ever truly loved you? The truth is, I'll never know, because I'll never get the chance. In the end, it wasn't rage that ruined me. It was silence. By Monday morning, I could already feel it, the way the air shifted when I stepped into the firm. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. The click of heels softened as I passed. Colleagues who used to fight for my approval suddenly refused to meet my eyes. Then the email came. Effective immediately, Clara Whitmore has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal review. No meeting. No warning. No chance to explain myself. Just one cold announcement sent to every employee, my name plastered across the firm like a scarlet letter. I locked myself in my office, the world tilting beneath me. And then Henry Whitford himself walked in. No greeting. No pity. Just a grim stare. Clara, he said flatly, your husband came to see me last week. He laid everything out, your affair with Charles, the late-night calls, the hotel bills. He also reminded me of your financial ties to the firm. Do you realize how much liability you've created for us? My throat constricted. Henry, please. It wasn't. He raised a hand, cutting me off. Spare me. You compromised your integrity. And by extension, ours. We'll handle this quietly for now, but don't expect to walk through these doors as partner again. That future's gone. Gone. The word rang through me like a sentence. When he left, I sank into my chair, staring out at the city skyline. That view used to make me feel powerful, like I'd conquered something. Now it just mocked me. Because the truth was, I hadn't built anything at all. I'd been held up by Harold. His money, his patience, his silence. And when he withdrew those things, I collapsed. That night, I drove back to what was left of home. Not the lake house, Harold had reclaimed that, but the old suburban shell we once shared. The walls felt colder now, emptier, as though even the house had decided to turn against me. On the counter sat another envelope. This one from the bank. Foreclosure notice. 6 months had passed since Harold left. The divorce was final long before I was ready to face it. He didn't drag me through court. Didn't humiliate me publicly. He didn't need to. By the time the ink dried, I was already ruined. The house, gone. The firm, gone. Mia, gone. She lives with Harold now, spending summers at his lake property, holidays with his family. I get the occasional text. Short, polite, lifeless. I'm busy, Mom. Maybe next month. Dad's already helping me. It's not her anger that breaks me. It's her indifference. I could live with being hated. But being forgotten? That's unbearable. Charles? I haven't heard from him since that final, clipped phone call. Word is, his father shipped him off to Los Angeles to manage some distant branch, far away from the scandal he helped create. Men like him always land on their feet. And me? I'm just the wreckage he left behind. Now I rent a small one-bedroom apartment. Thin walls, second-hand furniture, the constant hum of city traffic outside my window. Every night, I lie awake and wonder how a woman like me, admired, envied, unstoppable, ended up here, alone. Sometimes I think of Harold. The way he used to sit at the dinner table, asking Mia about her classes while I scrolled through emails. The way he never missed a soccer game even when I said I was too busy. The way he smiled at me on our wedding day like I was the only woman in the world. And then, I remember the look in his eyes that night at the lake house. That quiet, final look of a man who had already let me go. That image haunts me more than anything Charles ever said or did. Because Harold didn't just leave me, he erased me. I keep telling myself I'll rebuild. That I'm still Clara Whitmore. That I can claw my way back like I always have. But deep down, I know the truth. I'll never be what I was. I'll never be who I was. This small apartment. This empty routine. This confession typed out in the dead of night. This is all that's left of me. So here it is, my story. My warning. My truth. I had everything a woman could ever want. Security, family, love. And I traded it all for ambition and lust. I betrayed the only man who ever truly loved me. And in the end, I betrayed myself. Now all that remains is the echo of my own mistakes. A reminder that choices have consequences, and some lessons come too late. If this story stirred something in you, make sure to subscribe to Dark Infidelity Stories, where every secret leaves a scar, every betrayal carries a weight, and every confession is a lesson. Tap like, share, and comment below, because sometimes the darkest stories are the ones that make us face the truth about ourselves.